Well, hallelujah, my friends, and welcome back to the 15-minute free thinking podcast with me, Carpo, your friend, or enemy if you choose to view me that way. I really don't care. But at any rate, it's December 27th, 2 days after Christmas, 2021, and I am ready for a new fucking year. I am ready to embrace this new year with vigor. I'm ready to change a lot of the things I want to change about the way I live life, and also not change the things I don't want to change about life. So, at any rate, here we are. You and me. I should say me, but you'll be here eventually, right? Watching this, listening to this. I've been doing some thinking about how I want to approach my podcast in the new year. My intention is to have more interviews with people, to actually have discussions. It's very hard for me to break into the community of people having discussions because I'm an awkward human being, like a lot of people are. And while I'd love to posit myself as the kind of person who can just say, hey, I'm just going to call some other YouTuber and we'll do a discussion together, it's hard for me because I'm still awkward and I'm still a human being. So before I go off too much, I want to make the point here that the reason why I'm doing this end of the year podcast is pretty simple, but because I like to talk. I like to share information, share discussions. But I want to start off by saying I appreciate all of you who have either watched or listened to me over the years and contributed such amazing responses, called me out on my bullshit, been able to tell me when I'm full of it, but also been able to appreciate the things that I contribute that have helped you. The one email I receive a year from some stranger on average that says, man, you really changed my life for the better, and whether it was about KRATOM and helping them through their opiate addiction or telling them to think more positively, I'm still a human being and I still have these same problems that the rest of you have. So, for the new year, this is what I'm going to do for my channel here. I'm going to, whether you're watching this on video, if you're watching this on video, you're a patron of mine, because what I've been doing is posting on and off video versions of my podcasts for people to listen to while they watch, me discuss it. And I often add extras to the video version. I want to make this more consistent. So, to clarify, this is the last video I will be uploading, the last video version I will be uploading to YouTube of my podcast. But for anyone who wants to see a video version of my future podcasts, if you're a patron for even $1 a month, $1 a month, you can watch it for yourself. And I'm no longer going to hold back and say, oh, well, I'm too proud to get income for what I do. I've been making these videos and podcasts for 10 years. I've shared a lot of information and I've gained a lot and shared a lot. And I would love to turn this into something I do regularly. It's my passion. I like to talk to people. I like to make videos. And I'm still finally at this point realizing how awkward it's been and how strange it is to watch people around me be so much better at what they do than I am. I don't pretend to be a great interviewer. I don't pretend to be a phenomenal, philosopher or, I'm a human being. That's the point. So, after the new year here in a few days, I'll be posting video versions of every podcast, and I'll be doing them weekly, every Sunday. And I'll be posting a video version for my patrons so they can watch and discuss. And that's really all I can say. When a lot of people say this is brought to you by some fucking shave club or some bullshit, company, you see these channels where people are really into what they do and they really love to share information. And then they come up and they say, oh, this is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Let me tell you, that game is total garbage shit. I don't play games, but from what I've heard from people, it's just sad that we still sell out for this shit. And to get away from the advertising, I would just hope that people realize they're going to have to contribute their own funds to people that they want to hear. Otherwise, they're going to continue to get ads and they're going to continue to get bullshit. So at any rate, with that out of the way, let's move on. What are we going to talk about today on this podcast? The last end of the year podcast. it's going to relate to my discussion here about myself and how I'm just a normal dude. I've got my own problems. I realize that, acknowledge that, and I celebrate that. And for the video people who are wondering, I'm wearing this thing. I actually made this. I'm wearing this Native American type pattern. I don't know what tribe it is, but this is a piece of Pendleton blanket that I actually cut myself, and I sewed and hemmed and everything. So I've got kind of a what do you call it? Why can't I think of the name? That's the thing about the human brain. You just have brain farts and you forget the most obvious thing. It's a poncho. Thank you. Poncho. So I'm wearing this poncho that I made myself, and I'm pretty proud of it. I've got, it's very simple, but it's comfortable, and I'm warm. Actually warmer than I probably should be right now, but I like it. And I thought about that because for Christmas, my son gave us a Pendleton blanket. He works at the wool mills. And he gave us this really nice Beaver State blanket. They're collectible Native American pattern wool blankets. Pendleton is just right up the way from here, and they make some world-renowned, awesome wool shirts. But also for Christmas, I got this crystal that I'm holding, on the video version anyway. It's a giant quartz crystal cluster that my wife got for me, and it's just awesome. And I'm not going to talk about gifts here. That's not my intention. But just to make it clear, this was a very spontaneous podcast. I just needed to chat. I needed to talk. And what I really wanted to talk about was don't simp for dudes. And I need to back up and completely clarify what I mean for that, or by that. Don't simp for dudes. Well, first off, what does it mean to simp? People talk about men as being, simping for women, basically just, ogling over females. That's not part of my life, as far as I'm not involved in the younger scene, the dating scene, the issues that guys go through today. But I see it in not just young guys towards women. I'm talking about towards other dudes. I'm talking guys like Jordan Peterson. I'm talking guys like Ben Shapiro, people who others look up to as these, look at these are truth tellers, speakers. And let me clarify, as I said, I didn't come up with the names before, those just came to mind. But Jordan Peterson, for example, has a lot of phenomenal things to teach to young men out there. But let me just give you the basic philosophy, is clean up your room was his philosophy. And I still listen to the guy. I like him and I respect him. But the idea that he was talking about clean up your room in 2018, 19, and 20 was kind of overshadowed by the fact that Jordan Peterson, it turned out, was addicted to benzodiazepines. And he was taking, I believe, Klonopin or Valium, whatever it was, and he ended up going to treatment. And this doesn't negate the things that he taught. This is the point I want to make. Here I am. Who am I to talk? Sitting here a stoner, a guy who takes psychedelics. What do I know about what sobriety means or whether a message is carried properly? The point I wanted to make is clean up your room means take care of your shit. And he knew that because he wasn't taking care of his own shit. That's not a bad thing. He owned up to it. He grew up from it. But not just Jordan Peterson, but, the point I wanted to make here was with Jordan was like his kind of philosophy was clean your room, the one a lot of people recite. And what I gathered that to mean after retrospect here is shove all the shit you have in your closet. Now think back to when you were a kid, and your parents, clean your room. So you shove everything under the bed, everything in the closet, do everything you can to everything's just hanging by a thread. It might just fall off at any second. It's the old, cliche, I guess, of a kid's clean room. You open the closet and it bursts open and everything falls out. Well, that's what he was doing because he was addicted to benzos while he was giving life advice about owning life on life's terms. Now, the reason this is important is because we all do this. It doesn't matter who you look up to. It doesn't matter how much the person appears to be together. Take me, for example. I know a lot of people out there think that I'm just some other douchebag, right? But I imagine a lot of my subscribers at least respect me somewhat, right? And maybe think that I have things more together than I would come across with. Now, if I was brave enough to say I don't know these things, then that makes me appear not as strong. So to a lot of people, they move on to somebody who seems stronger. The thing is, anybody who's telling you they have it together is lying to you. Because nobody has an agreement on what's real and what's true. Nobody can seem to agree on what the best path to life is. But there are some underlying archetypes that can teach us more about how to live a good life than anything else. These are archetypes that go back thousands of years. Like, Joseph Campbell, if you're not familiar with him, talking about the hero's journey. We're all on a hero's journey. We tend to push it off onto Hollywood or, some musician or some actor or some, politician, their journey through all this chaos, ignoring our own. People who are sitting there raising children who are just ogling over single men who have done something great with their lives. What I would like to tell you is to step back for a minute and realize what you've achieved is far beyond what that person will achieve. Because what you've achieved is raising other children that will be able to achieve things. I know that sounds a little ridiculous. I realize that I know at least a few of my subscribers and followers are probably people who are anti-natalists, which means that you're just against humans existing. But the fact is that whether you're a monk in the mountains or a famous musician, single, musician doing your own thing, all of people are created by other people. Shocker, huh? And so somebody has to raise the monks, right? Not everybody can live in a cave for the rest of their life and just die out. And I don't buy into anti-natalism at all. I think that humans are amazing because we exist. It's all perspective. I heard a quote the other day, and I don't know who said it. I don't remember, and I try not to ever attribute quotes to specific people, knowing that most quotes go back thousands of years to other languages and other generations, because they're archetypes. Archetypes are enduring patterns through history. But one of them is, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And I thought about this for a while. This is true. Ideas have people. People who are willing to use them. People don't have new ideas, is what this means. Nothing new under the sun is more than just an old saying. It means that we're always just kind of improving on what came before us, or we're trying to. And amidst this, the reason why I'm making this particular discussion here in this video is because it's fucking hard to be yourself. It is fucking so hard to be yourself. I know anybody out there who's saying, no, it's not, it's easy. You're full of shit and you know it. You know you're lying. You know that you're lying to yourself if you think it's easy to just be a human. Whether you're fooling other people to make you think that you're better than you are, or you're, fooling yourself to think you're worse than you are, we're always fighting with this internal struggle of what does it mean to be a human? And I want to say, what does it mean to be a man, because I'm a man. But women are going through the same thing. What does it mean to be a woman? Doesn't mean anything at all. And then on top of this, we have all this pronoun bullshit going on in society, which makes it even more difficult for people to say, whoa, what is my role? Maybe I'm this person, maybe I'm that person. What matters most is whether you find solace and comfort in your existence, in your life, in not all the time. I mean, that you can find a little bit of comfort in knowing that you're doing your best. And that also means knowing that we're not always doing our best. And that's knowing our shadow. And that would be the crux of this discussion, which is knowing your shadow. Knowing your shadow is perhaps the most important thing that we can do with our lives, in our lives. Not with our lives, but And what this means, and I know this is often misconstrued and misunderstood. People often think, what does that mean? Embrace your dark side. You know, it's this old Star Wars story. We all have a dark side, but it's not a bad side. It needs to be very clear here. There are no bad sides. There are just different sides. Anything that comes from our subconscious, from our psyche, whether it's brought on by a bad past experience or, you know, our conditioning, we don't know. We don't know where a lot of our ideas come from. But we know that our shadow, our dark side, is always there. And often that just means the true self. It's not a bad thing. It means the part of you that says, I'm a peace-loving hippie, but God, I really want to fucking hit this guy. There is that part. And if you're honest with it, if you're honest with yourself, you'll be a much happier human being. And in 2022, I would like to see a lot more people be honest with how they feel. But in retrospect, looking back at the last couple of years, I've realized a lot of people have come out with how they truly feel. And it's not always pretty. But it has to be seen, has to be heard. We have to know how other people are enduring their existence because we live together. Because if you don't know your shadow, it'll manifest in other ways. Whether it's the guy that's mad at himself that hits his wife or his kids. Those are some of the lowest people on earth. I mean, in my opinion, a lot of the things people do, whether it's people talking about stealing, thievery, robbery, sometimes there's reasons why people do this. They have no other option. They need to feed their family or pay a medical bill. I'm not approving it or saying it's okay. I'm saying that there's reasons why people do these things that might be beyond what others understand. But when it comes to beating others, harming others, beating your children or your spouse, it really is completely out of control and some of the lowest lows that we can do. And the saddest thing isn't that people harm others. It's that we become prisoners of our own minds and we're willing to stay with people. The wife that will defend her husband who's beating her, saying, oh, he just had a bad day. That has to stop. We have to realize people should never be in fear of other people. They will. I mean, there will always be some fear of other cultures or other groups, xenophobia, whatever it might be. But fearing somebody you live with in your own household is something that should be completely intolerable to all people. And so sometimes knowing your shadow means part of your shadow is accepting other people's bullshit, that it's not always others' fault. You're enabling them by being there and accepting it. It's complicated shit, people. I mean, we all know this. The thing I have learned is that we hate in others what we see in ourselves. So, for example, if somebody ever accuses me of trolling them, or somebody accuses me of being a hater or a racist or a violent or whatever it might be, often I realize upon closer inspection that they are honestly projecting directly their own shortcomings onto me. When people talk about the way that you know, others will, when people use a term too much, for example, if there's somebody out there who says, oh, gaslight. Well, they probably gaslight people. If they say troll, they probably troll people. People really do see in others what we hate in ourselves. And that should be a clue for people to figure their shit out. And I'm just giving that, I guess, as my personal advice. But being calm and dealing with people is a lot harder than it sounds on the outside. You know, be calm. Be cool, collected. Stoicism has had a big uprising in the world, right? Everybody wants to be stoic. Cool. Handle the situation appropriately. Don't ever get riled. Let me just tell you something. It's okay to get pissed off. You can get angry. You can get mad. You just have to learn how to let it go really quickly. If I ever feel frustrated because I see something or hear something, it's gone in a few minutes. Unless it's something that directly affects me and my family, that I can carry that a little longer. But generally, if somebody pisses me off, whether it's on the road, in the store, at home, anywhere, I'm over it in less than 1 actual minute. I've learned to let it flow through me, take a deep breath, and let that shit go. Because you're the one that's suffering if you allow other people. You got to be calm. You got to deal with people. Handle your shit. And especially, always say what you mean. A lot of people are extremely afraid of confrontation. They're afraid that if they say how they really feel, someone will confront them and dispute them. And you know what? You're right. They will. But maybe that means what you say is complete bullshit. Because if your opinion, if your ideas, if your theories about life can't stand up to scrutiny, then you better at least either keep them to yourself or learn how to better defend your position. Because at this point in life, I've seen a lot of dumb arguments. Unfortunately, because I've been involved in a lot of them. I've seen how my own heartstrings can be pulled by other people's opinions. I've seen how I can be falling into a political pit of believing one side or the other because I really want answers. But all this is over now. I don't give a shit about other people's opinions. I only give a shit about my family and my opinions. And I don't mean that I don't listen to other people. What I mean is if somebody else has an opinion of me, or they want to try to project their own insecurities onto me or my life, I don't put up with the shit. I just want to learn about subjects, topics. As soon as a person goes into ad hominem attacks or says, well, you just believe this because you're this person or you're this person, I just walk away from the discussion. I've learned how to deal with bullshit. I've learned how to deal with scapegoating. I've learned how to deal with sarcasm, puns. I've learned how to deal with cynical sons of bitches. And I've definitely learned how to deal with confrontation. And my mission over the next, few years here, however long I continue to make these videos and podcasts, is to help other people, to try to improve their ability to be themselves. Because I think this is better for all of us. My intentions are to bring people together. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick what other people do and say they're wrong, they're bad. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that one political party or the other is better or worse. Because honestly, they're both corporate owned anyway. But the bigger point here is that we need rational voices, and I really want to be one of them. Therefore, I'm always open to discussion. If somebody calls me out on something I say wrong, I'm willing to back out of that and say, yeah, I was wrong. I've made mistakes. I've said things that I regret. But I generally am very cautious about what I say. And my hopes are that when I move from being 46 years old as of last month to being 56 or 66, that the ideas I share will be that much better. I can't even imagine how much I'll learn in the next 10 years of research and sharing information. And I appreciate all of you for coming along, for listening to my shit, for actually caring what I have to say. To me, that's more than I could ever ask for. Having an audience to talk about life is something that I do not take for granted. I am utterly grateful. And that's not egotistical. It's quite the opposite. I know that every human wants approval. I know that every human wants discussion and understanding. I know that people get frustrated if they don't get approval. Let's say they either start a YouTube channel or start a band or they become an actor or actress, whatever it might be. They find that it's not working for them, then they feel like they failed. And after 10 years of making YouTube videos and not gaining any new subscribers, at least by the numbers over the last 2 years, I still keep up with it because I give a shit about other people. And if only a few people want to hear what I have to say, I better at least say something of value. And I hope I do that for you. So, thank you for listening. As I've said, if you want to continue to watch any video versions of this, this will be the last video version of my podcast I upload. It will be available for any patrons. The link will always be on my Patreon page. Like I said, it's only $1 a month. $1 ain't shit. I'm sure they also have a $5, $10, $20 tier and anything you would like to contribute. But most of all, I appreciate you for even listening. And I am doing a Patreon drawing at the end of the month. At the beginning, on New Year's Day, I'm going to be doing a drawing with all the names on my Patreon page, and I'm going to be giving away a few packages to people, something I said I was going to do a while ago, with 15-minute free-thinking handmade tie-dyes that I made. In case you haven't seen them, see, here's one of them, for those who are watching the video version. I made these myself. I'm pretty stoked on them. Got this one. I've got this one. I've got like a dozen others, and I'm still finishing up the finishing touches here, and I want to let people know I'm very slow on this stuff. Same with the jewelry I had for sale. I'm trying to get better. I'm going to get better. This year I'm going to try to keep on top of my shit. And I promise you that. And when I make a promise, God damn it, I got to keep it. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time. Be well. Take care of each other.